Alright, let's kick things off with our first story. Khamzat recently spoke about his very first meeting with Arman, and his perspective might surprise a lot of people. When they first crossed paths, Khamzat admitted he wasn't sure what to think. On social media, Arman often seemed flashy, overconfident, maybe even cocky, but in person, it was a completely different story. Instead of arrogance, Khamzat found humility. Instead of ego, he saw genuine kindness. That moment left a real impression on him, and from there, their relationship started to grow in a positive direction.
What's the relationship with you and Arman?
I met like 3 years ago, and we didn't have a good relationship. I didn't know how was Arman is like vibe. Not that guy who I seen on Instagram, completely different guy, humble, nice guy. When I see him in real life, it was totally different guy. Like I'm seeing, watching, driving Ferrari and that stuff. Who work with him, he's good and everyone, wrestling, rapping, and mindset. Good guy. I love good people, and also in helping the people with good things. And we met in Thailand, and this reality as well. We work together there, so we become a friend.
Of course, Arman's road hasn't been easy. Earlier this year, he was booked for a huge rematch that could have put him right in line for a title shot, but at the very last minute, an injury forced him out. The setback didn't just stall his rise, it drew heavy criticism, even from Dana White himself, who voiced frustration over Arman's inactivity. For someone building major hype, it was a devastating blow. Since then, Arman hasn't returned to the octagon, while the lightweight division keeps moving forward. Every month out feels like a missed opportunity, and the pressure on him has only grown. But Khamzat made one thing clear. Despite the setbacks, Arman is still one of the most well-rounded fighters in the game. He praised his diverse skill set, his strong mentality, and his character both inside and outside the cage. Now, all eyes are on his comeback. Rumors suggest a possible fight against Dan Hooker in November. Nothing's official yet, but the matchup makes perfect sense. For Arman, it's a shot at silencing critics and reigniting his momentum. For Hooker, it's a chance to re-establish himself against a dangerous contender. Make no mistake, Arman's next fight could define his career trajectory. A big win puts him right back into the title picture. A loss? The climb back would be brutal. And as Khamzat pointed out, success in MMA isn't just about skill, it's about humility, respect, and character. Both men remind us that honor outside the cage can matter just as much as victories inside it. Now let's shift to Daniel Cormier, who recently gave his thoughts on the pound-for-pound rankings. After UFC 317, Ilia Topuria cemented himself as the new #1 pound-for-pound fighter by knocking out Charles Oliveira to win the lightweight belt. That dropped Islam Makhachev to #2. For now, Ilia holds the crown, but Cormier thinks it won't last long. He explained that if Islam moves up to welterweight and beats JDM for the title, it changes everything. In DC's words, Ilia deserves the top spot right now, but if Islam becomes a 2-division champ, he instantly reclaims it. Why? Because dominating in multiple weight classes is the ultimate test of greatness. Cormier reminded fans that Islam already has 4 successful lightweight title defenses, add a welterweight belt on top, and the resume speaks for itself. His co-host Din Thomas disagreed, arguing that JDM doesn't yet have the resume to make that win more meaningful than Ilia's knockout of Oliveira. But Cormier doubled down, saying it's not about names, it's about proving dominance across divisions. For now, Ilia is heavily favored in his matchups. DC even broke it down with betting odds, -600 against Paddy Pimblett, -300 against Arman. In other words, Ilia's only real test would be Islam. And if Islam grabs that second belt, Cormier believes the pound-for-pound debate ends right there. Speaking of unforgettable moments, let's rewind to UFC 229, the night Khabib fought Conor McGregor. It wasn't just a fight, it was chaos, theater, and history rolled into one. Dana White called it the biggest night in UFC history, and the numbers back it up. $17 million at the gate, and a record-breaking 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. But fast forward a few years, and another event may have actually topped it. This time, it wasn't the UFC, it was boxing. Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford inside Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Over 70,000 fans packed the arena, and the atmosphere was electric. According to commentator John Anakin, who's called both UFC 229 and this fight, the boxing spectacle may have actually surpassed what many thought was the UFC's crown jewel. Even Bruce Buffer, the voice of the Octagon, admitted it was unlike anything he'd ever seen. He revealed his brother Michael Buffer, who announced the card, told him it was the smoothest, most professional production team he had ever worked with. And the numbers? They were staggering. Over $47 million at the gate, making it the third highest in boxing history, behind only Mayweather vs. McGregor and Mayweather vs. Pacquiao. On top of that, Terrence Crawford etched his name in the record books by becoming the undisputed champion in 3 separate weight divisions. Whether or not Dana White deserves credit for the event is up for debate, but what isn't up for debate is this. The night was a once-in-a-generation moment that might have even outshined UFC 229 in scale and spectacle. Now let's move to something that had the MMA world buzzing for all the wrong reasons. Things recently got messy between Paulo Costa, Darren Till, and the MMA guru. What began as a lighthearted gaming invite turned into one of the most savage online exchanges we've seen in a while. It started when Guru tweeted a playful invitation for Costa and Till to join him in a Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies session. He even joked about hitting 400,000 views and teased Moana for not wanting to buy the first door. Costa replied first, but instead of laughing it off, he went full Paulo Costa mode. Does anyone know what this fatty mother is talking about? If you want to invite me to something, make it a pool party with thick Latinas. Otherwise, leave me alone. And just like that, the tone shifted. Darren Till piled on next. Who else is tired of that fat, smelly MMA guru? Yeah, you speak your mind, but you're fat and definitely smelly. What's your comeback, mate? Guru wasn't about to stay quiet. He fired back, mocking Till's appearance. This bloated Mong Darren Till looks like a drowned man pulled from a river with rocks in his pockets. No wonder your nose is wrecked. Go call out another 50-year-old or influencer. You fat little Till hit back again, asking, "Are you calling me a head like Luke?" Guru clapped back even harder. Wow, you figured that out yourself? For that IQ, Liverpool should build a statue of you with knives sticking out of it. You'd look like a Down syndrome pop-up pirate. What started as harmless fun quickly spiraled into a brutal insult war. Costa, Till, and Guru went at it without holding back, giving fans one of the harshest, most personal Twitter battles in recent memory. Next up, Mario Batista is preparing for one of the toughest fights of his career, taking on Umar Nurmagomedov at UFC 321. Now, most people see Umar as one of the toughest rising stars in the division, but Batista isn't buying into the hype. He believes the aura of invincibility surrounding Dagestani fighters has been blown out of proportion. Speaking with MMA Junkie, he said, "They're good, no doubt, but we don't think they're unbeatable. It could just be that Khabib was an outlier. Everyone expects the rest of them to be on his level, but that's not the case." Batista also thinks Umar's current training camp may be especially difficult. Coming off a tough loss to Merab, the pressure is sky high, and knowing Khabib's reputation for demanding perfection, Batista believes Umar could actually be overworked leading into the fight. Confident in his own preparation, Batista sees this matchup as his chance to expose vulnerabilities the public hasn't seen yet. And at UFC 321, he's ready to prove that even Dagestani fighters can be beaten.
They're not invincible either.
Yeah, we definitely don't think they're invincible, and they're great grapplers. They're all good, Usman's the champion over there. But Khabib is just, an outlier. He's that great, and so everyone kind of expects the rest of them just to be, which isn't the case. But yeah, we're going to get ready for this fight. I think we have all the tools, all the guys to get ready for this. And who knows? I don't expect this camp to be a good one for him, because for someone like Khabib is probably just going to straight push him, just because what happened in the last fight, you had that problem, we're going to push you hard. So I don't think it's going to be a good camp for Umar there.
Charles Oliveira finally has his opponent for UFC Rio, and it's none other than Mateusz Gamrot. The UFC just made it official, and both fighters wasted no time firing up fans on social media. Oliveira dropped a video hyping up the Rio crowd, reminding everyone why he's still one of the most dangerous lightweights on the planet. On the other side, Gamrot clapped back with his own post, promising he's coming to shock the world and prove he belongs at the very top. This matchup is pure fireworks. Oliveira's slick submissions versus Gamrot's relentless pressure and grappling. Fans are already calling it a stylistic war that could reshape the lightweight title picture. Question is, will Oliveira defend his home turf in Brazil, or will Gamrot spoil the party?
Fala, minha família, passando para anunciar para vocês que já saiu minha nova luta. Antes de qualquer coisa, queria agradecer a todo mundo por toda a mensagem, por todo o carinho gigantesco, por isso que eu quero fazer parte desse UFC Rio de Janeiro, dia 11 de outubro. Adversário, Matheus Gamrot, esse é o cara que a gente vai fazer uma grande guerra. O restante só quis hype, só quis encher linguiça e falar. Mas faz parte, é assim que é assim que eles pensam que é o legal. Matheus Gamrot, obrigado por ter aceitado a luta, vai ser uma grande guerra. O leão tá faminto, tô cheio de vontade. Dia 11 de outubro a gente se encontra. E é isso. Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx, o moleque que nasceu de dentro da comunidade pro mundo. E é nóis, é o Brasil, conto com vocês, estou mais do que preparado. Dia 11 de outubro, um novo show, um novo Charles. E é isso, só vamos. Hey!
Patrz to, kurwa, co tu się odjebało? Wow, kurwa! Wow, kurwa! Wow! O ja pierdolę, kurwa! Wow! Ja pierdolę! Oh!
That's all for today's update. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss your daily dose of MMA news.